1. Murphy, the main guy? Not exactly the plan. So, get this. The dude who became the undeniable star, the one and only Alvin Murphy, played by the fantastic Keith Allen, wasn't even supposed to be the big cheese from the get-go. The original idea was more of a squad goals apocalypse edition, focusing on the whole gang just trying to survive and get this crucial guy across the country. But hey, Keith Allen just bodied that performance, and Murphy's whole immunity thing took the story in some seriously wild directions. Sometimes the best laid plans go wonderfully, hilariously, zombie-bitingly wrong, too. Proudly not The Walking Dead, while other shows were busy being all serious and mopey about the end times, ZNation basically gave The Walking Dead a playful shove and said, no, we're going to have some fun with this. They wanted that anti-Walking Dead label, faster, funnier, and totally embracing the bonkers side of a zombie apocalypse. That was their jam. They found their niche by, well, not taking themselves too seriously. 3, yes, it was made by The Asylum, so what? Okay, we know what you're thinking. The Asylum, makers of glorious low-budget madness? Yep, but guess what? ZNation totally broke the mold. While some critics might have rolled their eyes, plenty actually got it and appreciated its B-movie heart, getting creative on a shoestring budget and refusing to just copy every other zombie story out there. It wasn't a total critical darling, but it definitely wasn't instantly dismissed just because of its production company. It found its own voice, loud and proud. 4, cross-country trek, more like mostly Washington, plot twist. Even though our heroes were supposed to be traipsing from New York to California, the vast majority of that epic journey was filmed in one state, Washington, specifically around Spokane. Those production folks were basically wizards, making Eastern Washington look like everything from creepy cornfields to snowy landscapes and city ruins all across the USA. Talk about making do with what you've got. 5, cancellation, not just about ratings, it's complicated. So, the show got the axe after season 5, and while ratings played a part, as they always do, it wasn't the whole story. Syfy was apparently doing a whole network reshuffle, moving away from shows like ZNation towards fancier, more expensive stuff. The show still had a dedicated fan base, so some folks, insiders and fans alike, saw the cancellation as more about Syfy's new strategy than just the show's performance on its own. 6, zombie virus had some seriously weird mutations. Forget just fast or slow zombies. ZNation went off the rails with its zombie strains. We're talking plant zombies, phyto-zombies, radioactive ones, blasters, zombies on Viagra, yes, really mad Z's. And later, sentient zombies called talkers. This show was constantly inventing new, almost whimsical ways to be undead, which is pretty counterintuitive for a genre usually focused on just one type of shambling horror. 7, Citizen Z, more than just a voice in the sky. Remember the guy stuck alone in an NSA outpost, Sergeant Simon Kruller, aka Citizen Z? You'd think he'd just be the typical guy giving info from a safe place trope, but nope, this dude became seriously crucial. He saved the group remotely multiple times, had his own wild survival story. We're talking wolves and going a bit stir-crazy. He even eventually left his safe zone and got in on the action more directly. His journey was way more dynamic than you'd expect. 8, character deaths. Sometimes they were just casual, while other zombie shows would make you weep for episodes over a character death. ZNation could be surprisingly quick and even darkly funny about offing main characters. Sure, some deaths were sad, rip Garnett, but others, like Mac getting mercy killed by Addie pretty early on, or later deaths, boom, done, move on, zombies are coming. This lack of intense mourning, even for important characters, went against the grain of how the genre usually handles loss. 9, spinoff went a totally different direction. You'd think a spinoff would be similar, right? Wrong. Black Summer, which is technically in the same universe, is basically the anti-ZNation. It's super grim, quiet, terrifying, and barely has any talking or jokes. It completely ditched ZNation's quirky, energetic vibe, which definitely surprised fans. 10, zombie weed was a thing and it mattered. Yes, you read that right. Zombie weed, grown using zombies as fertilizer. And it wasn't just a one-off joke. This ZWeed was actually important to the plot. It messed with people's heads, was used like money, and even seemed to calm down some zombies or hybrids. Putting something so bizarre and, well, stoner comedy into the core of the apocalypse? Only ZNation 11. Gore with a wink and a smile. ZNation had gore, sure, but it often pushed it so far over the top that it became hilarious instead of just horrifying. Giant rolling cheese wheels of death, elaborate zombie traps, ridiculously over-the-top dismemberments. It was all played for dark laughs. It was a sharp contrast to the gritty, realistic gore you see in many other zombie dramas. 12. Hidden depth amidst the chaos. Don't let the B-movie look and absurdity fool you. ZNation actually dug into some surprisingly complex stuff. They explored the tricky parts of using Murphy against his will, the rights of those sentient zombie hybrids, evil corporations, cults, and what it even means to be human after everything's gone to hell. It had more depth than its goofy surface suggested. 13. Doc wasn't an MD, believe it or not. Stephen Doc Beck was the group's go-to medic, always patching folks up. But get this, before the apocalypse, he wasn't a doctor. He was a clinical psychologist and addiction counselor. He obviously learned a ton of first aid out of necessity, but his Doc nickname was more about his role in the group than having a medical degree. 14. Old school special effects, FTW. In a world where everything's CGI, ZNation kept it old school with practical effects, especially for zombie makeup and gore. They used CGI too, but that commitment to practical effects gave the show its unique, tangible B-movie charm. 15. Humans were sometimes stranger than the zombies. You'd think the zombies would be the weirdest part, but the human bad guys often took the cake. We're talking philosophical bounty hunters, seemingly nice religious groups with dark secrets, a super advanced but totally messed up society, and recurring wacky but degenerate characters. Their reasons for doing things were often way weirder than just surviving or wanting power. There you have it, ZNation, the little zombie show that could, did, and did it all with a totally unique, slightly unhinged charm.